Before we got on the text chain for this gift exchange, we had learned that there were some very strong negative feelings towards us coming from some of the siblings. And we also learned that they were planning on having Christmas without us, without saying anything to us. It was very frustrating for me, and I felt really hurt.
No, I see it getting worse progressively. And so Robyn said to us that because of, we weren't respecting us, she was like, we're not going to participate in Christmas with you.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, June 19th, Juneteenth. Happy June 2024, and I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Do you ever get the sense that Kody and Robyn Brown's children, the ones that are the adults, are locked in their house, sort of like Rapunzel in a tower, being locked away and kept from society and forced to live in houses with them and being sort of isolated from the world? Do you ever get concerned that everyone else in the family has relationships, but nobody has a relationship with them, and they're also not allowed to have a relationship with their biological father's family or him? Do you ever get the sense that their isolation has contributed to perhaps mental health concerns? I mean, we've seen on the show Aurora dealing with anxiety, and we've also noticed on the show a lack of maturity, like a lack of social maturity in the behavior of some of the kids. And I think a lot of that is because of how sheltered they are. And recently I was over checking on Pinterest, because that's the only place I can ever go to get a sense of what's happening in that household, because the girls have private Instagrams. They don't have social public facing. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with their fact that Robyn doesn't want them to spill any information. And I started looking through some of Aurora's recent pins, and I got a little bit worried. And I thought, you know what? She's pinning something that is basically saying that there's something she wants to expose but won't. And I want to know what that is. So Robyn's daughter, Aurora, is, I think, 22 years old. She still lives at home. And Kody and Robyn are grooming these girls to be submissive, obedient wives, basically fundamentalist Christians. And Aurora is pinning posts by the transformed wife, who is atrocious. And she's pinning a lot of stuff about getting married. And she's also pinning a lot of stuff about having issues where she's struggling with safety and knowing something, but not knowing if she should say it. And I was like, the red flags started popping up. And I worry a lot about these kids. And I worry a lot because Kody's a monster. And I believe that Robyn is a narcissist. So I wanted to share with you a couple things. And I also wanted to point out that Robyn cut them off from the entire family. She's the one that decided they couldn't have a relationship with the rest of the family because she couldn't have a relationship with the rest of the family. And she's the one that pulled them out and then made them feel like everyone was abandoning them when Kody was putting up barriers in their lives, making it impossible for his kids to see him on Christmas. Like, Robyn framed it to Aurora and Brianna that, well, they were going to do Christmas without us. But the truth is Kody didn't want to do Christmas with them and then blamed them for it and then said they don't want to do Christmas with you. It's gross. A recent pin she posted was called A Godly Wife, which says she loves God above all things. She loves her husband and children. She shows self-control. She is a keeper of the home. She is a servant. She is grateful. She is modest. She is kind. She is submissive, and she is obedient. That was pinned in the last few days. She clearly is looking to get done with college, so she posted about not procrastinating. She posted about a biblical husband, a good, great God. Husband's good, great God loves his wife, is able to express his love in both practical and emotional ways, is more concerned with a woman's holiness than her hotness, loves the Bible and seeks to apply it to his life, realizes that his life and relationships are really meant to bring glory to God above everything else, submits to his wife, looks to Christ as his example, desires to join with a woman in such a way where he considers her well-being just like his own, and desires to build a woman up rather than beat her down. She also has a pin about 10 ways to love. listen without interrupting, speak without accusing, give without sparring, pray without ceasing, answer without arguing, share without pretending, enjoy without complaint, trust without wavering, forgive without punishment, and promise without forgetting. So a bunch of posts about like being obedient and a submissive wife, and it sounds like preparing herself for marriage. There's been a lot of rumors that she's getting married. McKelty said that's not true, but it definitely seems like it's something that's on her mind. And, you know, in their culture, she's old, to be honest, to be single. Not that it's a bad thing. Fully support her not getting married young, and think it would be great if, you know, she did her own thing and had a life before she got married. A lot of the girls in the family have gotten married very young, and that's a product of their culture. But this post, she actually put it up herself. So there's two things you can do on Pinterest. You can find somebody else's pin and you can actually repin it to your stuff, or you can upload something and then pin it to your page. And she uploaded this herself. She didn't create it, but she uploaded it and said, "It's not always going to be your job to expose the truth of a situation. Sometimes letting God bring issues to light as he sees fit is the best way to handle unfair circumstances. Before you speak up, pray. Sometimes God's solution requires our silence." And I saw that and I thought, it's not always going to be your job to expose the truth of a situation. Letting God bring issues to light as he sees fit is the best way to handle unfair circumstances. She has two posts about safety, like if you're in an unsafe environment, if you're in a domestic violence relationship, you can dial 999. She also has another one for safety about, you know, heart attacks, chewing aspirin, but another one about like if you're trapped in a house kind of thing. When you have a heart attack, don't swallow aspirin, chew it. If you ever drown to the point of throwing up water or passing out, even if you feel fine, get to the hospital. If you vomit and it looks like coffee grounds, you need to go get to the hospital. If you're ever somewhere really high and you hear crunching, crinkling noises in the air, get out of there immediately. Rohypnol, the date rape drug, has a salty taste to it. And then the other one is silent help if you're in a situation where you can't speak, choking, heart attack, intruder, and domestic violence. So safety is a big issue for her. She's feeling unsafe in some capacity. And then she's posting about wanting to speak but not having to speak because God will reveal the truth to her unfair circumstances. I have a sense, and this is just me being real here, the kids that live with Robyn and Kody are not as happy as it seems. I have a sense that they probably want more freedom than they have. I have a sense that a lot of their relationships between people and families and friends have been completely alienated and isolated. I have a sense that Robyn's kids are held very close to her and to Kody because they have secrets that they don't want out. And when I read that, you know, it's not your job to expose, I took it one of two ways. Like either she wants to expose what's happening in her house, or she feels there's an unfair dynamic at play when it comes to the alienation between her and the other kids, or, you know, the two divisions in the family. They could speak about it if they wanted to, right? I think if they wanted to speak out and be like, no, like, it's just, you know, there's hurt, there's been pain, we had some struggles or whatever. I think like they're being told they can't speak is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they have the freedom to speak. I think Kody doesn't want anyone to tell his secrets, and Kody doesn't want anyone to know what's actually happening in the house that he's actually at. And anytime one of his adult children does start speaking out, they're basically silenced either through an NDA or they get a phone call from him saying that he doesn't want them to ruin the show. And from what McKelty has said and what Peyton has said is there are secrets in this family that run so deeply that the show would be canceled if they went out. And so whenever I see these posts, I'm like, what are these kids hiding? Like, what is going on in this family that is so bad that they're being forced into silence in this way? And I know it could just be a pin, but it's like a pattern I see with these kids. She pinned this one too. It says, "I can't wait to see the favor of God over your life. I can't wait to see the beauty beyond your broken story. I can't wait to see the way you smile when God finally does it. Today I pray you carry hope. It's all about to change for the better because God is still good. He is still able." she struggles with depression and anxiety. And this family, coming from the culture they're in, doesn't believe in medication for anxiety and depression. And they don't go to the doctor for those types of issues. And mental illness and untreated mental illness is a huge problem in fundamentalist Mormonism. And it worries me that you've already had a kid that's passed away, and then you have another kid that's like feeling hopeless and feeling like they have something to say, but they can't say it. Another one was, your promise is still in bloom. Don't write it off just because you haven't seen it. For any moment now, your suddenly will take place and the seeds you've sown will bloom. Heaven is raining on your seeds. There is a mighty downpour. The Father sees your heart. He sees your faith. He sees you saying, any moment now, do you trust me? Another one, worry is care. That is never released in prayer, so it continues to stay right there. Whispering in your ear, God is nowhere near. It is a devilish fear. It becomes a doubt. The whisper becomes a shout. God's not able to work this out. Before you know it, this thief has robbed you of belief and filled your heart with grief. Because you listened to a whisper from the lips of the truth twister, and you aren't a resistor. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. One thing that they are taught in this culture is that mental illness is a product of the devil, and that all you have to do is like be a better person and you can overcome the mental health issues. And because Satan is who's causing you to feel that way, people are almost blamed and shamed for feeling bad. And so asking for help is very hard, because then they feel like they're not being the perfect people that they're supposed to be. And just, again, I'm seeing these red flags, knowing what's already happened in the family and knowing things like this can become contagious within families. Another post was from the transformed wife. Are taught that work that is paid is the only worthwhile work. It's not true. Being a wife, mother, and homemaker aren't paid positions, but without them, nations collapse, as we are witnessing today. Our value doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from God alone. I cannot stand Lori Alexander. Fathers can help run households just as well as women. And then she has this other post about still being single and feeling like uncomfortable that she's still single. And there's a lot of pressure on girls in this culture to get married young. And she's, 22 years old, and I don't know if she has a boyfriend or not, but I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on her to feel like by this time she should be married. Her mom had Dayton when she was 19 or 20 years old and was married at that same time. And so, Gwendolyn was married when she was 21. I think Maddie was 20. I think McKelty was 20. And Aspen got married a little bit later. But most of the girls in this family have gotten married young. Isabella's not yet married. And Savannah's not yet married because she just graduated high school last year. Brianna's not married. But Brianna pins a lot about getting married too. And when they're raised their whole lives that their purpose is to be women and children, and they're still single at a certain age, it can become, they can start to feel like they're not good enough and start to question their own values. It just makes me wonder what is in this household that's so controlling that she can't find a way out. Like, if someone wants to live at home, it's totally fine, but I don't get the sense that it's that she wants to live at home. I think they don't want her to leave. I don't think Dayton lives on his own because they don't want Dayton to leave. I think they don't let Brianna move out because they won't let Brianna leave. And if a kid should want to go out and spread their wings, they should be allowed to do that. It's happened with every one of the kids except for Robyn's kids. Every one of Elsa's kids have been allowed to go and spread their wings and be adults. And Robyn's kids have remained so sheltered, so isolated, and so smothered that it makes me question what's going on in that house. And then I see these types of pins and I'm like, what is going on in that house even more? I just hope it's someday when the lights start to come on in these kids' eyes and they realize they don't have to live like this. They know that there's an entire world out here that will love them and embrace them. And they've got siblings half siblings or, Kody's children from the other women, they're adopted, but still half siblings that would embrace them and love to have a relationship with them. And I hope they realize that whatever's been fed to them all these years is just a lie. And I think Robyn and Kody just don't want that to happen. They're so paranoid about the truth. But then you see these types of pins and you're like, but the kids are clearly struggling. And she posts a lot about anxiety, feeling upset, and feeling hopeless. Robyn needs to let her kids go. but that's just my opinion. And I've never gotten the sense that they're terrible kids. I think they come from a terrible mother that has rubbed off terrible attributes onto them, but I think they could easily erase and strip those down if they got away from her. But what do I know? What are your thoughts about this? Does it sound concerning to you? If not, whatever. If it does, let me know. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click on the bell so you never miss a video. Bye, guys.